What happened when all three of you arrived at that address, 604 Ocean Miss Court?
We got off and we got on the porch and started hanging out.
Okay. What were you all doing on the porch?
We were playing cards and drinking.
What side of the porch was the table on? Do you remember?
Yeah, the way we were looking at it, we're on the left-hand side.
Left-hand side, so you're saying this hand?
Yes,
over on
ma'am.
this side? I'm
Yes.
going to show you a close-up of that area, State's Exhibit number 10. Is that the left side of the porch?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is that the area where you and your friends were hanging out and playing cards?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember what type of cards that you all were playing that night?
Playing poker.
All right. Sometime after 2 a.m., did you at some point notice a vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us, do you remember the type of vehicle that was?
This was a minivan.
Okay. And do you remember the color of the vehicle?
I think it was a dark colored vehicle.
Tell us what happened and when did you first notice it and what did it do?
Just seeing it pass by.
And at some point, did it park in front of 604 Ocean Miss Court?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to put back on the screen for you State's Exhibit number 5. Can you tell us, can you point out on State's Exhibit 5 where it was you saw this dark minivan park?
It parked right.
And you can use the yardstick, absolutely.
Right to the back tire of.
Can you step down so you can actually point and?
It parked right around this area.
Okay. And which way is it going? The front of the car, is it going to the left of the picture or to the right of the picture? To the left of the picture. So the driver's side would be pointed as it's going to the left of the picture. Is that correct? You can go ahead and have a seat. After it stopped, what did you see?
I seen an individual get off.
Right. And how many people was it? Was it just one individual or more than one?
Just one.
Just one. And where did that individual go?
He walked towards the front of the porch.
And you said he walked towards the front of the porch. I'm going to ask you to step down one more time. Can you tell us the path that he took after the vehicle parked?
After he exited, he came around Sergio's car.
Okay, and Sergio car, that's the blue Charger.
Yes, ma'am.
And show us the exact pathway that he took to the porch.
He came around this way, around this area.
And so he went around the driver's side door of the blue Charger
Yes, ma'am.
and up to the porch area?
Yes.
Okay. At some point, and you said the light is on at the porch, is that correct?
Yes.
Did the light from the porch, did that spill over past the porch area?
Yeah, to the front of the steps.
Okay, so you could see the front of the steps?
Yes.
And at some point, did that individual go up to where the front of the steps are?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you still in that chair facing in that direction towards the roadway, towards
Yes,
the
ma'am.
front of the porch? Was there anything obstructing your view from the individual that approached that porch?
No, ma'am.
At some point, could you see that individual's face?
Yes.
Did you see the sex and the race of the person that approached that front porch?
Yes.
Tell the jury the sex of the person.
He was a male.
Tell the jury the race of the person.
He was white.
Can you give us more of a description? His hair.
Grayish, brownish hair. Looked like it was dirty.
Okay. And at some point, let me ask you this. Do you remember what he was wearing?
Yeah, he was wearing a black shirt.
Black shirt?
Yeah, he had glasses.
Let me ask you about the glasses. What type of glasses was it?
Just looked like regular prescription glasses.
And do you remember anything about his appearance? Anything else about his appearance?
He looked scared. He had red cheeks.
Did you notice anything else about his black shirt?
Yeah, it had a lettering on it. It said sheriff on it.
And was he holding or carrying anything?
He was carrying like a wallet type of deal, like almost like a badge.
And was he carrying anything else?
Yeah, like a handgun, like a gun type.
I'm going to ask you about the gun. Do you remember what color the gun was?
Black.
Do you remember how big the gun was?
Roughly 10 inches, 10 around the area.
And anything else about the gun?
Not that I recall.
And how far to the porch did he get when you were seeing him, when you first really noticed what he was wearing?
To the front of the steps.
The very first step?
Yeah.
And how far would you say you were from where you were seated to the front of that step?
About like 6 feet.
When he approached, did you say seated in your chair or did you stand up?
Stand up.
Were there others that were still around the table with you at this time?
I believe yes.
And everybody else that you mentioned, were they all still on the porch?
Yes.
Did that person, when he approached the porch, did he say anything?
He was asking for Creeper.
And did you know who Creeper was?
I know who Creeper was, yes.
Did you and anyone else on the porch, any of your friends on the porch, have a response for him when he asked for or said that statement, where's Creeper?
Everybody told him that he wasn't there.
And let me ask you this, how did he say, where's Creeper? Is that his actual wording or did he say something else?
He said, where the fuck is Creeper?
And what was the response from you and your friends to that question?
I told him that he wasn't there and we didn't know who the fuck Creeper was.
And when he said, where's the fuck Creeper, in what tone of voice did he say it?
He was very stern about it. It sounded mad.
And based on what he was wearing, what did you suppose this individual was? What occupation?
A cop.
After he said that about Creeper, asked about Creeper, did he say anything else to you all while you're on the porch?
No, ma'am.
At some point, is he telling you or giving you orders to you and your friends what to do?
He shot in the air and then he ordered us to get our IDs out and get on our knees.
Okay, so first there was a shot up in the air?
Yes, ma'am.
And where were you when that happened?
The same spot?
Still by the table in front of that rattan chair?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you remember if anyone else was still around the table?
Yes.
Were there others in your friend group that were standing on the porch?
Yes.
And after you heard that shot, he then at that point, what did he say? The person that was dressed up as a sheriff's officer.
He asked us to take our IDs out and get on our knees.
What did you do based on that?
I got my ID out and started getting on my knees.
And what were the others? What were your friends doing at that point?
Everyone was getting their IDs out and getting on their knees.
And where on the porch did you get down on your knees after that person ordered you to get down on your knees?
Almost by where the door is at.
Okay, the front door in the center of the photograph?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you to the left of that door or to the right of that door?
To the left, I believe.
What happened after you get down on your knees? Let me ask you this. When you're down on your knees, what way are you facing at that point?
I'm facing the house.
Facing the house?
Yes.
Did your friends also get down on the porch, either kneeling or laying down on the porch?
Yes.
All of them do that?
Yes.
And what way do you think and do you see them do that? Do you actually physically see them also get down on their knees?
Not that I recall, just...
Did you see you said not that you recall. Were there some that you didn't see what was going on?
Some, yeah, that I didn't see what was going on.
Did you see who was next to you?
Richard Cantu.
And where was he?
He was right next to me.
Did he get down on the ground, on the porch, I should say?
Yes, ma'am.
And was he to the right or to the left of you?
To the right of me.
After you got down on your knees and Richard Cantu got down on your knees, what happened?
He shot Richard.
Where did he shoot Richard?
In the head.
Did you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
After Richard was shot in the head, what happened?
Then he shot me.
Where did you get shot?
He shot me in my left hand.
Were you holding anything in your left hand at the time when you got shot?
My ID.
And why were you holding your ID?
Because that's what he told us to do.
This ID that was recovered from the Lucas house, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 16, and a close-up of it, State's Exhibit 47B. Is that your identification card?
Yes, ma'am.
And that is the ID that you had pulled out and were holding in your hand the first time that you got shot on November 25th of 2010?
Yes, ma'am.
After you got shot in the hand, did you get shot again?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times did you get shot?
Total 4 times.
Where did you get shot?
My left hand, top of my chest, my torso area around this area, and right on top of my butt on the left hand side.
Do you remember after that first shot to your hand, do you remember getting those other shots?
No, ma'am.
I do want to ask you about what you do remember. Do you remember hearing more gunshots after you got shot?
Yeah, I kept hearing gunshots.
Did you hear other people in your friends make any sounds when those gunshots were going off?
Yeah, people were grunting and screaming.
At some point, do you remember Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office responding to that porch?
Yes.
Do you remember getting off of the porch on your own?
No, I don't.
Do you remember ever trying to go into the Lucas home?
Yo, I remember going into the Lucas home, not off the porch.
That's what I meant, sir.
Okay.
From the porch area where you initially were shot, do you remember at some point being able to go into the Lucas home?
Yes, I went into the Lucas home.
And where did you go into the home?
Right into the door where I fell.
And that's where you fell, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you in that area when law enforcement and first responders and fire rescue responded?
Correct.
That you said that you've described that individual as a white male, is that correct?
Yes.
Was there any other person that got out of that dark minivan?
No.
Only one person?
Yes, ma'am.
And how many guns did you see that night?
Just one.
Just one gun.
Yes.
Do you remember how tall that person was, the shooter?
Yes, ma'am.
How tall was the shooter?
Roughly around 6 foot, 6'1".
How tall are you?
5'8", 5'9".
And you given 6'1", 6'2", is that correct?
Yes.
So you believe the shooter was taller than you, is that correct?
Yes.
And can you give us an approximate weight, the best to your ability of the shooter?
Heavier than me at the time, 280, 290 pounds.
And how much did you weigh back then?
Around like 220, 230.
And you described him as being taller than you and a little bit heavier than you, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
This photograph that says, it has this Gonzalo Guevara on it, is that your signature right there?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that the only photograph that you put your signature on?
Yes.
And how did you identify this person that you picked out? What did you tell, who is that person?
That's the guy that shot me?
On November 25th of 2010?
Correct.
What was your response, or did you have an emotional reaction when you saw that photograph?
Object. Relevance.
Overruled, I'll allow it.
Excuse me?
I'll allow it.
I started shaking and crying
And why did you do that?
because he's the guy that shot me.
Did you tell, just as those instructions say, did you tell Detective Lugo how certain you were that that was the person that you shot, that identification?
Yes. I told him I was 2,000% sure that he was the guy that shot me.
And can you still see that person, that face in your mind today?
Object. Relevance.
I'll sustain.
Is that person who you identified, is he present in the courtroom today?
Yes, he is.
Can you please point to him and describe what he's wearing?
He's holding his chin. He's got a white shirt, I believe, and a gray sweater.
Your Honor, may the record reflect he's identified the defendant.
The record shall so reflect.